IKEA Vangsta Table Assembly and Review. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Clueless Dad. Today we're going to assemble a Vangsta Extendable Table from IKEA. And I'm going to get started, and meanwhile I'll do some voiceover explaining the table and how much it costs. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so first of all, let me clarify that this is the 80 centimeter to 120 centimeter version, not the, I think it's 120 to 180 centimeter version. So here in Japan, where I am right now, and also other Asian markets, I've seen they only sell the smaller version, but in the US they only sell the bigger version. I don't know if the design itself differs or it's just the size, but it's not quite as deep, and also obviously the length when it's extended is different as well. So aside from the length, this version is 70 centimeters deep and 73 centimeters from the tabletop to the floor. Not too bad, I think. It's not a huge table, but not too bad. So in some ways, IKEA is like updating and modernizing their designs as they go. So I've never seen this before on an IKEA piece of furniture. It's like a big ABS piece of plastic which pushes in, I think, into the legs. And then on the other hand, this is really kind of old school, but then also different for IKEA. It's basically like a piece of aluminum that's been machined, and I think this goes in the corners. So yeah, I've never seen this on an IKEA furniture either. I've never even seen them ever do anything like this where it's a machined chunk of solid metal. You know, normally they would, I guess, stamp something, but so in this case, a bit unique, at least for me. So it might be a little bit hard to see because this is black on black on black, but basically it just goes in here and then snaps in place. Just twist it and it kind of locks in. Two of them on each side. And if you don't want to use the little Allen wrench that comes with it, it's a 4mm hex head. These are a little bit easier. Comes in two colors, basically black and white. The big one in the US is not too cheap. It's like $169. The smaller one, which they only sell in some Asian markets as near as I can tell, actually pretty reasonable, especially considering it's extendable. So I got it for the low price of 12,990 yen. And given the exchange rate right now, that's like insanely cheap. It's like $90 US compared to almost double for the larger version in the US. Even in Hong Kong, it's like over 100. I think it's like $110. So because of the exchange rate, at least right now, I got a pretty good deal. One key thing with all these IKEA prices, it definitely is varying country to country, but it's also going up a lot because of inflation and supply chain issues. Anyway, that's it for now. Let's watch the rest of the assembly, and then we'll come back at the end for some review on the assembly process and also the table as a whole. Okay, next up we're going to put the, I guess it's like the horizontal rail when you're extending it. And so the key thing is to note that there's a cutout on one end of each one, and you want to make sure those are facing inwards to each other. And then on the opposite end, there will be holes tapped into that side. And this end goes in through those plastic loops that you installed, and the screw hole is facing, in this case, up, which is, you know, away from the bottom of the table. And you're going to screw those into those end pieces. So get those in, screw hole up, get it lined up, get it all the way down to the end, and it should line up approximately with the hole in the piece that you just put in. So lift it up, get it in there, and then you can see the hole lined up, and then you want to screw that in with the shorter of the hex head bolts. Okay, next up you have these two L bracket type things with the flanges on the outside. You actually want to have them so that they are, I don't know how to describe this, flanges on the outside, the horizontal part on the top, because you're installing it this way, so that it's kind of got like a space underneath it as they face each other. And so you want to line this up with the holes that are in there, approximately like this, and then they'll lean in. So now you've got to find the hole here and get it lined up and screwed in. So as always, you want to start it with your fingers, get it going before you think about any power tools, otherwise you'll strip everything and screw it up. So definitely do it by hand and tighten everything down by hand at the end as well. Something like this. Okay. Okay, so we're basically done with everything except preparing the extension piece. And you should have 4 of these plastic bracket type things. There's some stubby ones and some longer ones. So you want to take the 2 stubby ones, and on the back of the extension piece, there's outer holes which are near the edge and out to the outside, and then there's some inner ones which are a little bit further in and closer to each other, and those are the ones that you want the short, stubbier ones to go in. So now take these with these wood screws, okay, a couple of key things here. It's a little bit hard to get these started because you basically have to get the threads to bite into the wood. So in my case, I was using this wrench and basically pushing down quite hard at the beginning and just kind of trying to get it to rotate, that the teeth go in. Even with the Allen wrench that it comes with, just sort of push it down as you turn at the beginning especially. And then put them in loose, get both of them going, then tighten them both once they're, already in place and most of the way down. The other key thing is don't tighten it too much because this is fiberboard. You can just keep going and it's going to start ripping up the fiberboard. So be careful, don't try too hard. Okay, and same thing with these outer brackets. Okay, and now let's try putting it in place. So you want the longer, wider ones to go basically under the tabletop. And you'll notice there's some clearance here and there's a hole cut out here. So basically that tab goes in that hole when you push it closed. So if I can get it right, there we go. Something like that, yeah. So now it's not coming up. You could actually lift up the table from here if you really wanted to, but definitely pick it up from the metal. Okay, so here we are. Yeah, not too bad. I've got my 4 Stefan chairs, which I've assembled in a separate video. Go check those out. As you can see with the extension in, you couldn't fit 2 people on each side. It's a little bit cozy, but not too bad. So you could actually sit 6 people at this table if you really wanted to. So if we have guests over, which I don't think we're going to have that much, just for like breakfast in the morning when the kids are up and I'm usually still sleeping in, they don't actually need 4 people sitting all at once. So we could definitely take out the extension and even push it up against this built-in shelves thing that we're probably not going to be using very often, and just keep it out of the way because it is a bit tight squeeze here in this particular living room. And obviously with the extension in, you could push it out sort of into the living room without worrying about it being too tight over here in the corner. Because right now I'm almost up against the wall, but I've still got plenty of space to eat. I'm actually more worried about, like in this case, my knees are pushing on against this chair, which means that they're going to push against there and they're going to push against there. So 6 people, definitely cozy. So it doesn't look that dark in this light on camera, but it's actually pretty dark to the eye. So here's the extended version of the table. Let's put it back. So in this case, you want to pull out and then pick up. And the trick is that L-shaped bracket now is where you store your tabletop when you're not using it. So just slide it in, and it's a little bit of a tight squeeze. Watch your fingers. But yeah, so I think the plastic bracket things that you put in is what it rests on, so don't worry about scratching the table. and it just goes in, and then slide everything in, pick it up a little bit, slide, and there you go. That is the small version. Okay, and here you can see the non-extended version. It's cozy. I mean, 4 people eating here, you start butting into each other. Like literally, actually, the chairs will butt into each other if you push them in too much. But obviously, if people are in, then it's fine. But when you're done and you push your chairs in, you're going to start bumping into each other. And here you can see, yeah, you're pushing into each other. So anyway, just keep that in mind. But especially for kids, like if you were using a high chair or something, no problem. Even though my kids sit on the big seat now, should be no problem. So let's jump back to the full extended version for the wrap-up. Okay, so what do I think of the Vangsta? Yeah, not too bad, especially considering the money. I mean, I only paid $90 for this expandable table. At that price, can't complain too much. I actually like the fact that it's metal everywhere except for the tabletop. I didn't even realize that when I bought it. So it looks decent. It should hold up pretty well. The instructions could have been a little bit more clear on the orientation of everything. I guess it's not so much the instructions fault, it's just a little bit complicated to make sure that you have everything in right. And worst case scenario, if you get it wrong, you've got to unscrew something and flip it over, which I actually did and I didn't show you. So yeah, just be careful of that. Look closely on those instructions, and obviously I try to be as clear as possible here in this video as well. If you guys have any other questions, I'm happy to do more expandable dining tables depending on where we move in the future. I have a really old one in Hong Kong that I've had for a long time. That case, the extensions actually kind of pop out from underneath and come up. So now next time I go back to Hong Kong, I want to do a video about my 10-plus-year-old extendable table there. I don't even remember what type it is, but I'll put it up here when I edit this video. So yeah, I'm actually kind of keen on these extendable tables. I want to check more out. So maybe I'll replace this and get a new one when we move again. Okay. That's it for today. See you guys next time. Bye. But yeah, so that's the Vangsta table. Is it Vangsta? Vangsta? That the thought of just having this go with me all the time up in the overhead bin. As soon as you get off the plane, pull it out, unfold it, and walk off. Literally, that could save you